Our transport correspondent, Tom Burridge, is at Heathrow for us this morning. Morning to you, Tom.
Morning, guys. I'm pretty tall, but look at the size of these wheels. 18 of them on this aircraft. There's a real buzz airside here at Heathrow this morning. This colossus of a plane, take a look at it.
Should anyone be booking a holiday anywhere in Europe right now? Are holidays abroad this summer going to happen?
You know what the Foreign Office guidance is.
When people come through those doors, they should go directly to their address and self-isolate.
This is the opposite of a visible boots-on-the-ground strategy. There are around 140 US military personnel in this region of Africa.
The primary objective of their work is to search for human remains, and actually this morning we've seen some bones recovered from the ground. They're also looking for the personal belongings of the 298 people on board flight MH17 that came down here 9 months ago. You can see some of the black and twisted metal of the plane here that's been taken out of this area. But if you look at the sort of size of this area, you really get a sense of how much work there is to be done here. And you can see how the debris of the plane is scattered amongst this earth.
This is the most vivid example of the Obama administration's policy on Ukraine, training Ukrainian troops hundreds of miles away from the conflict in the east of the country so that Ukraine can defend itself from its larger neighbour, Russia.
So I'm standing on the very extreme of rebel-controlled territory in eastern Ukraine, just north of the rebel-controlled city of Lugansk. And this is one of just a handful of crossing points. You can see that it was a bridge, but it's been completely blown apart. If I were to pay for my shopping in this queue here, I'd be paying with Ukrainian hryvnia. But like a lot of businesses in rebel territory, if I were to pay for it in this queue here, I could also pay in Russian rubles.
Well, that's the loudest explosion we've heard. Mortar fire coming in. There have been other explosions near to this building. But the soldiers are really relaxed. They're used to this pretty much every day.
We joined a Ukrainian unit on the other side. As soon as we arrived, the fighting nearby began, with the airport in sight.
So the evening routine seems to have begun here. You really get a sense of how we're within touching distance really of the airport there. These are the Ukrainian army positions. And basically every night this begins. Booms, artillery, mortars, all across this area of the front line. It's a real hotspot. There you go again. Away from the genuine sense of grief here, there is a poisonous climate of mistruths and propaganda in this region linked to the ongoing conflict. So even when the Dutch-led international investigation team decides what and who brought the plane down, the next hurdle is finding justice for those who died.
There isn't much here to tell you that 3 suicide bombers came to France's National Stadium on Friday night to wreak havoc inside the stadium. They were stopped from getting in by security guards working here on the gates. But look up on the signs and down here on the walls, you can see that they're pockmarked by ball bearings from the attackers' suicide belts. Human towers, part of Catalonia's distinct cultural identity.
I've watched the pro-independence movement in Catalonia in recent years as it was galvanised in the wake of the financial crisis across Spain, pushing and pressuring the Spanish government for a better economic deal for this region. Or better still, for these people, a Scottish-style independence referendum. This is the people facing down the police. These are riot police who have been drafted in from other parts of Spain. But their heavy-handed tactics today appear to be making deep divisions in this region worse.
Catalonia's leaders say they're on the verge of breaking away from Spain.
Presidente Puigdemont, good to see you again. Thank you very much.
This is Carles Puigdemont's first interview since Sunday's disputed referendum.
The MAX is Boeing's latest version of its very popular 737. New, heavier engines make it much more fuel efficient, but in flight, their weight and position force the plane's nose up a bit. I'm told by a senior Spanish police source that Jamie Acortt was using false names. He had protection, and he was moving around Spain, spending time in parts of the country full of tourists.
A queen of the skies. The uniforms
and the food changed.
The cabin has been fine-tuned for passenger comfort and service efficiency.
But the 747 was a glamour glider for decades.
It's big, but by no means slow.
It's incredible to think that the Boeing 747 has been with us for around half a century. Suddenly, you could carry around 400 people from Heathrow to JFK, New York, in about 6 hours. It was a wow moment, and it changed the way we travel. Millions of miles, millions of jumbo jet memories. This morning, it's over and out for the BA 747 era. Well, sitting in that very privileged position right up there in the cockpit this morning will be Captain Al Bridger, the man who's going to guide this plane out of Heathrow for one last time. Al, I'm delighted to talk to you this morning before this historic trip. It's going to be an emotional one when you pull up for that last time.
Oh, it's an incredibly emotional day. You know, it's mixed feelings. This has been part of all of our lives at British Airways for 50